Hey everyone, and welcome to Pixel Chatter, the show where we talk tech with the people who make it happen. I'm your host, Justin Lachovsky, with the Render Impact team. Today we'll be talking about visuals, diverse strategy, and the power of DV-LED and bringing those projects to life. With me today is Matthew Sulkowski, National Sales Director with the LED Experts Group, a division of Crimson. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Justin. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you taking the time. So, obviously, Matt, you've been in the pro AV trenches for years, and you're now leading the charge with some of the most dynamic digital canvases out there and some of the, greatest LED projects to date. It's nice to talk to someone who, understands the display medium that we often work with. So let's dive in a little bit, talk a bit about what you're working on in terms of LED, where you see things headed, and we'll get a little bit of background on you. I find that it's nice to, for the industry to know a little bit more about the people who make these things happen. So please tell me all about the LED Experts Group and how you got involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, good seeing you again, Justin. I think last time we talked was out in San Diego, not too long ago, but good to talk to you again. But yeah, the LED Experts Group. So we are a division of Crimson AV. You guys might have heard of Crimson AV, been around almost 14 years now, kind of the mount company. So we kind of built on that commitment to quality, flexibility, and deep industry experience and kind of moved that over to the LED side of the business. We offer everything from an ultra fine 0.9 millimeter pixel pitch displays. We have all-in-one options and kiosks. And then, of course, we have the rugged outdoor rated screens as well, all supported by Novastar Industrial leading processors and control systems that we've partnered with this past year as well. What kind of sets us apart is really, we vetted over 40 LED suppliers before we started this process a few years ago, ensuring that we match the right products to each project and the right processor, adding the attention to detail, fast quote turnaround, and kind of just a second to non-customer service that we've been known for in the Crimson AV industry for a long time now. So.
I love to hear it. And obviously, DV LED and just LED technology is becoming increasingly more popular. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about, Crimson's decision to, get involved in the LED side of the business.
Yeah, sure. What really came about it, even before I was with the company, was we started getting a lot of one-off kind of requests because, again, we have, I think, now over 300 different mounting solutions in every type of vertical. But we started getting a lot of requests for LED mounting. And that kind of got the ball rolling and then the thoughts of the upper management in our company of what we could do to help support that. From there, like I said, we went down the road of vetting, a lot of different companies in the space to make sure we have the right partner and the tools to be very confident in what we do with the products that we're representing. That kind of started and kind of just went from there.
Awesome. So let's take a bit of a step back. You've been with or the LED Experts Group and Crimson for a little bit over a year now since we first met. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about what you were doing before and sort of what paved the way for this transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would probably say started about 20 years ago. My first kind of way I got into AV and technology in general, I worked for EchoStar, which is Dish Network, as an area sales manager. From there, it kind of just went to the next progression. I moved into the customer electronics space, did work directly with companies like Sony, Bose, LG, and Samsung. And what I did is I focused on the merchandising, marketing, and assistant sales training, a portion of that. I ended up managing teams of 60 people remotely. So sharpening my communication, attention to detail, and time management really gave me the hands-on client-facing experience that kind of led me to my foundation and what my approach is in business today. But what brought me to Crimson AV is I had a great working relationship with one of the VPs that was my boss then at Dish Network, William Baer, who's now one of the VPs at Crimson AV. And we always kind of stayed in contact. And when this opportunity came up, I really saw the momentum behind the DV LED side of this business and knew it was the right fit and the right time for me to jump on. And really just what really drew me in was the problem solving component, right? Taking a client's vision and kind of figure out how to make that a reality for them.
That's great. So it sounds like technology's, been a big part of your career for a while. So that's nice to hear. And, we are very familiar with Will. a bear over at the Crimson AV Group, and Will's a good guy. Let's hope he's not listening to this episode because we don't want that to get to his head. Um, but I think what's really cool is, the fact that you brought that new sort of competitive edge to the Crimson AV Group. I know that you folks have been doing mounting solutions for a very long time, and you're a tried and true company and product. So, the evolution into the DV LED side of things, I think was a great addition for you folks. And I think that's led to some really cool opportunities. We spoke in San Diego during the DSF meetup event. But when we were together, we were talking about the NASCAR project you folks recently worked on. I'd love to hear more about it, and I think the audience would too. Can you dive into a little bit deeper into that project for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first, I guess I'd say it was very challenging, exciting at the same time when we came across our plate to look at. So, Spartan Motorsports is a NASCAR team. They have teamed in all three divisions, so the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and actually NASCAR. So they came to us and said, "Hey, look, we want to kind of put together a live command center, live video feeds, analytics, weather data." And multiple live streams all simultaneously for the race day kind of process. So what we started with was like, what's the vision, right? And they said, well, we want up to 18 live inputs all at once. So obviously that took some time to figure out how we want to put that together, right? So we coordinating multiple live streaming and data overlays was no small task. So we started with figuring out the right processor and kind of worked backwards. We went with an H series Novistar processor because it has enough inputs and power to handle that type of advanced layering and capabilities. So we initially thought we'd go with an HDMI 2.0 input cards. And the funny story is I went to this installation, helped support it on site. I was at lunch with some of our rep groups and I got a text saying we have an issue and we don't have enough layering. The lucky thing was we were able to kind of circle back. I was able to get the correct input cards overnighted to the facility and basically got it all done, and it was up and running. Still got the deadline for Spire and ready for the Daytona 500 and the kickoff of the 2025 series. But really complex kind of a lot of meetings with our partners, Novistar, the end user itself, and the integrator to try to figure out the best solutions for this. And it was, kind of a little bit of stressful moment there when we had to switch out some of the cards a day or two before our deadline. But as clients, as we all know, clients have deadlines and they usually want them sooner than later. But we're very happy to how it turned out, and everyone was very successful and happy about it. We've actually done a couple other projects for the owner of the racing team, including a home theater we just installed a few weeks ago. So really exciting and really cool to see and kind of follow the sports, the racing team to see how they're progressing. Kyle Busch drives for them, won a race. They had some of the fastest times at Daytona 500 on record. So kind of things like that is nice to follow and see you may have a little part of their success this season and seasons to come.
Wow, that sounds like it was a complex but very exciting project. And you mentioned something that really resonates with me, especially being on the content side of things, is the fact that you took a step back at the beginning of the project and you asked the end user, the client directly, what's your vision for this? And that's really important, especially when we're, dealing with technology. Depending on who's brought into the project first, a lot of the times it's hardware procurement, but it omits the whole idea about, what's the purpose or business objective that you're trying to solve with this. But it sounds like that was, at the forefront of your thinking and sort of what kicked off this project, which I love to hear. Now, because of its complexity, obviously, I'm sure that came with a lot of technical challenges. You've obviously highlighted a few of those, but maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into, what were some of those technical challenges that made this project a little bit more challenging or exciting? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think the first one was just the way the wall and the room was set up. So they had it kind of first off, when we were in there, they're actually still building it, kind of having a kind of a movie theater kind of layout with about 24 different people that can be in there during race day, engineers and analysts to kind of monitor all the different video inputs and, like I said, analytics, weather, tire pressure, whatever it was. So we're in there building it with our partners, and they're around there doing landscaping and but doing the walls and the building the kind of the layers for the seating, everything. So kind of working around that. The other thing was obviously having 18 different inputs. They're all going to be kind of different, right? So some of them are live streaming. We had a lot of different nooks we had to work with. So just making sure all those were working in sequence with each other. And then the other thing is, training how to work it. So it just, I kind of take the example, you buy a brand new sports car and it's great, but if no one shows you all the bells and whistles, all the features, why you're spending this amount of money on a product, then it's not worth it, right? So because of our partnership and our relationship with Novastar, we actually had an engineer come in towards the end of the installation to help kind of fine tune those type of configurations and how to work it really, and how to make it to, if they want to do a movie or some training, multiple, maybe 2 or 3 screens, to the 18 different segments and quadrants that they use on race day. So like I said, a lot of time and a lot of planning, and then even when you're there, you're always going to have some bumps in the road that we were able to work through. And again, at the end of the day, it's if the client's happy and they're using it and really seeing the rewards from it moving forward. So
Love to hear it. Sounds like it was a pretty big success. So congrats to you, Crims and the LED Experts group for that project. Let's switch gears a little bit. Obviously, you're the national sales manager for the LED Experts group, so you're mainly involved in positioning and selling this technology within the market. Maybe you can tell me a couple like the key points in positioning yourselves within those projects and what it's like selling DB LED these days.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I think of all the time is we want to come across and be that complete solution provider. We handle everything from the project scoping, the system design, to content, and working with companies like you as one of our partners, Render Impact. And installation, we use Snap Install as our partner when needed to help either do a guided install or help do the install itself when we come across those opportunities. And then the next one was really, like I mentioned earlier, becoming a Novastar distributor and partner. We offer the most reliable processors in the industry, along with exceptional technical support. Again, having them on site for certain parts of these installations, like we did for the Spire Motorsports install, they're the one that kind of pointed out the issue before we even did. So that being able to overnight something with their expertise on site, that really made a difference. And then, how do you help the clients, or beyond the screen, I say, is just, explaining and asking what their vision is. And really, it's only their imagination that really is the only thing that's stopping for what we can come with LED now these days. So it's really having a checklist beforehand of all the specifications, starts there, and just having the support, whether it be, again, the installation, the content, the installation itself, and just making sure we're there through the whole process for them to make sure they have a successful process and successful installation of the wall when it's all done and working.
Love to hear your methodology for that. One of the things I think we encounter more often than not is getting customers to understand that, the display technology is really just a medium for communicating your messages or creating some sort of an experience. So how do you help customers sort of see beyond the screen and prioritize content as part of what they should be thinking about when engaging these projects?
Yeah, you probably think the same way. It's DV-LED is not just about the specs, it's about kind of creating an impact, like you said. We help clients think about the context strategy, sight lines, layering, and the system control, so that when they have that, they get that return on investment and get that wow factor that they're all looking for, right?
Totally. So what's one trend in sort of AV and LED technology that maybe people aren't paying enough attention to right now?
Yeah, I think it's up in it's the 3D kind of out of the screen kind of content that's really starting to take shape, and you're seeing it a lot in different forms and different verticals. It's unlocking like the new creative ways to tell a visual story, right? Whether it be across retail, entertainment, hospitality, you name it. Something you wish your clients understood better, right, is don't let the sticker shock kind of just be the all in all of when it comes to LED, because the powerful and the verticals of these type of visions that you can really will show you the ROI is real when you talk about getting people's attention. Talk about going like a casino. There's a couple of applications that are really cool right now where you look up and you see like LED up on the screen. They're trying to get you to kind of look away from your phone, and whether, again, walking on the streets of New York City with some of the product you guys have worked on, is trying to get their attention, because attention is key right now in the AV space, and trying to get people to look at what you want them to look at, your vision, your messaging, your products, and away from their phones. So kind of explaining that to the end user and explaining what that impact can really do for their business is something we kind of look to focus on.
Love to hear it. And again, thank you so much for the shout out there. We appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
think you're right. Content really is king, and people are finally starting to understand that when they're engaging in these projects. And 3D anamorphic and forced perspective content just adds that additional layer of engagement that gets people to look away from their phones. I think that's the biggest challenge that a lot of folks have in the pro AV space, digital signage and just displays in general is you need something engaging enough that's going to get somebody to look away from their phone that has all of the content in the world for them. So it's nice to hear that you folks are continuing and hold content as really the forethought for these projects. What are you thinking is sort of next for DVLED? What have you been seeing in terms of potential trends?
Yeah, well, I'm a big sports guy. I think you do that, Justin, when we talked. I love watching sports, going to see live events, and of course, it's very expensive, right, to travel to see something. March Madness is going on right now. If you have a team still alive, to travel somewhere within a week, try to get tickets, flights. So what I'm seeing and what I'm really excited about is kind of the breakthrough of sports when you see some of these arenas that are being built. There's one in Dallas, not to, dropping names, Dallas and LA, where now you can go to somewhere near where you live and have that experience of being at the arena itself with the kind of futuristic all the way around kind of feel like you see at the Spire in Vegas as well. Things are just like next level that we haven't seen before. And then also having the ability with the audio to build into that experience. So now you could drive 15, 20 minutes from your home, get a ticket, sitting a restaurant, sports book kind of theme, and feel like you're actually in the arena itself. So that's kind of like what I see coming. But it really, and again, you see a lot of different videos on different social medias as well. Kind of cool outdoor LED, drone effects, things like that kind of all tie together. But just next level kind of technology. But for me, it's really the sports thing. Home theaters, probably going to see, you see IMAX theaters. You're probably going to see LED theaters soon in the future as well as they're building these different arenas and businesses in different cities to come.
Couldn't agree more. I think there's just so much potential for the display technology. So really happy to hear your thoughts on that. Let's do a little rapid fire fun. Favorite AV project ever?
Oh, well, I mean, the Spire Command Center is right up there, right? But the one I kind of always think of, at least the first thought, was we did a new sports bar in Tennessee in Gattinsburg called Pucker's Sports Bar and Grill. And what was kind of cool about that is I saw from the beginning, from the ground up, they had a fire at next door a few years back. So the building actually was burnt down and had a lot of damage. So they had to gut it, rebuild it from scratch, from brick to brick. And we were lucky enough to be one of the providers involved in that project with not just our mounting solutions, but having a really cool DV LED wall that splits into two. So kind of seeing it from the beginning and just watching the whole thing come. And it's a really cool sports bar. Has been there for a long time, but for it to be kind of rebirthed or reborn with all new technology and new walls and everything because of the fire was kind of cool to be part of that process.
Cool. Love it. Sounds like a really cool project. Up next, hidden talent or a fun fact about you?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I guess I'd say, well, I'm an only child. I have no brothers and sisters. Some people know that, don't. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I've been in Florida now, at St. Petersburg for about 20 years. And the other thing I think I'd say is, well, I'm kind of a sneakerhead. Well, I am a sneakerhead. I collect sneakers and keep them, try to sell them in the future. Kind of look at all the different trends and customization. So I'm really into sneakers, take care of them, make sure they're nice and clean and fresh at all times. And you'll always see me have some kind of new sneaker on when you see me at these trade shows and DSF events and things of that nature.
Awesome. We got to chat more about that offline. I used to be a big sneakerhead when I was younger. Maybe I'm going to date myself a little bit, but probably not that long ago. But used to be really big into And1 shoes.
Yeah.
Back when, And1 was carried by Foot Locker. I was in Walmart not long ago, and And1 is now a Walmart brand. So, oh, how the mighty have fallen, had I known that, my Jordans would have appreciated in value, but my And1s would have depreciated, might have changed my my sneaker strategy a little bit.
Did you have a pair of the Starberries? Is that what they were, I think, back then? The N1s, he was signed with them?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had like several colorways of the traditional And1 shoe. I miss those. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, very good.
So last on the rapid fire, dream LED install location.
Oh, I know something kind of cool. I think I'd like to do something like something in Iceland, somewhere bold, kind of beautiful and raw. maybe a stadium or a concert set against some natural landscape. I think that would be pretty cool and unforgettable, I think, if I had to pick a cool application. But you can't go wrong with sports. You look at some of the new stadiums that are coming. There's a new baseball stadium they're building in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas A's. They'll be the A's sometime. And you see some of the specs for that. If a giant LED wall, pretty much the whole entire outfield will be an LED. And I'm hoping that here in my hometown of St. Petersburg, Florida, they finally figure out a new stadium deal for the Tampa Bay Rays. And excited to see that come to fruition, hopefully in the near future as well. So probably something like outdoor, cool, different, or something to do with sports.
Cool. Yeah, totally. So Matt, we're getting towards the end of our time. We've just got a couple more questions for you. So the first one up is, what's a piece of advice that you've got for, future Pro AV sales folks?
Yeah, I mean, I would say know your specs, have a checklist. Like I talked about before, there's so many different specifications for these projects. If you miss one thing, it could be really a delay in the project and not meet your deadlines and cost a lot more money. So understand what you're offering, work with people who know what they're talking about and have experience with the concept and working with you from beginning to end. That's how you become a true partner and a great vendor. But again, ask the questions that no question is a bad question, right? And the other thing is always, make sure you have professionals working with you and double check your information and specs, because once you get that done, the installation is not that complicated, at least until you get to the process side. But I always have like a checklist, figure out, of course, the size, the viewing distance, what the elements are going to be, indoor, outdoor, what the content's going to be. Things of that nature are very important to make sure you have the right hardware to begin with so that you have no, like I said, delays or extra expenses when you start the project.
Great advice. So Matt, thank you again for being on the show. Where can people connect with, yourself, learn more about the LED Experts Group and Crimson AV?
Sure, yeah. So, of course, our website, crimsonav.com. It's CRIMSONAV.com. Kind of like the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Our logo is an elephant. Our ownership liked Alabama about 15 years ago. The joke internally is we don't do well in New Orleans when we go down there because they're not big fans of Alabama in the New Orleans state. So it's a kind of a thing when we go down there. But yeah, our website, for me, it's just Matthew.Sulkowski at crimsonav.com. And then also you can find me on LinkedIn. And I'd love to have, and of course my direct number would be 727-677-1575. I love talking shop, whether it's about a new concept, a technical challenge you might be coming across, or a wild idea on a new project. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you.
Matt, thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate you being a part of the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. And look forward to see you soon, Justin. Maybe in Detroit coming up, or one of our expos coming up soon, man. So really appreciate your time and having me as a guest.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Thanks to all our listeners for tuning in for another episode of Pixel Chatter. Again, I'm your host, Justin Lachovsky with Render Impact, your digital content experience specialist. Stay tuned for the next few episodes coming out in a couple of weeks. We've got some really exciting folks chatting with us. And again, this Chatterbox signing off.